Hello all, it's Marco from Random Door Media. Behind this door is something that comes up now and then in story plots from various media, including movies, comics, and video games. It's some plot element that I sometimes ponder over. Now, I'm not a scientist, but I do read books and watch shows on sciencey type subjects. Therefore, I have garnered a decent amount of knowledge about how things work in the world. Every now and then I'll be watching a movie or TV show or playing a video game, and something that'll happen that makes me think, hold on, wait a minute, that's not how that would work, or if that were true, then this other thing would happen as well. I'm not talking about common tropes like characters never running out of ammo, or a bomb being disabled at 1 second. I'm talking about story elements that I'm not even sure the story writers think about. I want to talk about vision. No, not that vision. I mean vision, as in using optical senses to perceive the surroundings. If someone is asked what sort of superpower they would like to have, some special ability that humans don't have normally, common replies are to be super strong, or to have the ability to fly without means of propulsion, and the ability to make oneself invisible. Invisibility is what we're going to look at. The ability to make oneself undetectable to the optical sensory organs of other creatures usually comes in the form of a transparent body where light just passes through you, or by reflecting light around you. Therefore, if the light never bounces off of you, then it never reaches the eyes of whoever's trying to look at you. The problem with this stems with how eyes work. Simply put, the eye is an organ that collects and focuses light so that the exterior surroundings form an image which is then converted into electrical signals and transmitted to the brain. As light particles reflect off surfaces, the information from the particles is collected in visually sensory organs. The lower the level of light in the surroundings, the more difficult it is to see, and the total absence of light, the eyes do not function. The problem is that in order to become invisible, light has to be made to pass through the person, such as with a transparent body, or the light is bent around them. In either case, this means the person that was rendered invisible will also be blind because their own eyes are not receiving the light information. It would be the equivalent to them being in pitch-black darkness. The only invisibility I could think of that would work, assuming that superpowers exist within the context of the story, would be a form of mind control. The person with the mind powers controls the brain of the target to make them think there's nothing there. Their eyes are receiving the correct visual information, but the mind controller just convinces the target's brain that there's nobody there. So, yeah, whenever you see a character in a story who becomes invisible, see how the story dealt with the blindness issue. I have a copy of the Marvel Universe comic book from 1985 that has the background and power information for the character, the Invisible Woman. The Marvel Comics writers actually addressed this issue by stating, the Invisible Woman is able to see normally when she is bending light around her in order to become invisible. Okay, how did they explain how she is able to see? Well, they didn't. They go on to say, apparently she somehow allows light to penetrate her eyes without disrupting her invisibility effect. Okay. On a similar note is stopping time, as in all matter and energy in a certain location, possibly the whole universe, just stops instantly for everything except the character that initiated the act. Stopping or traveling through time has its own set of issues that most people don't think about, but I just want to talk about how it would affect the senses. In the space adventure Star Crash, the planet that the characters are on is going to blow up in 48 seconds.
You know something, my boy? I wouldn't be emperor if I didn't have some powers at my command. Imperial battleship! Halt! The flow of time! In the space of 3 minutes, every molecule on this planet will be immobilized. But after the 3rd minute, the green ray loses its power. Time will flow once again.
Yep, everything is stopped, including light and sound, so everyone here is blind and deaf. In the miniseries The Lost Room, the main character tries out a comb that stops time.
Well, he'll be pretty obvious.
No. No. He is not marveling at the frozen world around him. He is screaming terrified because he has no senses. He has not seen anything because light particles have stopped moving. He is not hearing anything because sound wave has stopped. Yeah, nothing. This next section is about vision, but not in the same way as being blind because the lack of light particle interaction. While the previous points could apply to any storytelling medium, this next one is exclusive to video media.
Okay, make us invisible.
What? So the car is invisible because it is out of the movie frame? Even if it was hovering high above the road, the police would still see it. If, by hovering, the car moved to the other side of a bridge or behind a huge sign, then sure, that would hide them and make them invisible. But there's a big open area and the car simply went straight up. The movie makers seem to think that just because a car is not visible to the audience, because it's off the screen, that the characters in the scene would not be able to see it either. I've seen this quite often in movies, that just because something is outside the viewing screen of the audience, that the characters in the story are surprised. How did he not see that guy? The attacker literally came from the direction that Ash was looking straight at. Did Jake roll a 20 on his stealth check? Jake was out of frame, therefore out of Ash's line of sight. In the case of this particular movie, because it is a horror comedy, that this might have been done merely for comical purposes, but let's look at the next example. How did he not see her? For that matter, how did he not hear her? It's not like she was trying to be quiet. Did she roll a 20 on her stealth check? Even if she was running fast, look at how little time passes from when his eyes was facing the left. 1.2 seconds. But out of frame, out of mind. I see this too often in movies in which scenes play out as if characters don't have peripheral vision. And it is really bad when a character is in a wide open area and they don't see something that's like 2 seconds away from them. See what I mean? Do writers not think of these things when making a story? Or do they just not care? Seriously, it is just easier and faster storytelling to ignore such real-life limitations rather than portray how events would really unfold. But the out-of-frame situation? Come on, that is just lazy storytelling. That's all I have for this video. If you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell, whatever else you need to click on. And if you have any feedback, leave a comment. Take care, everyone.